After signing the #1 recruiting class in the country for the 2024 cycle, Kirby Smart and the Dogs are looking to do it again in 2025. I'm not ready to say that they're going to have the #1 recruiting class again, but it's going to be very good. It's going to be top 5, probably top 3, and who knows, if Georgia gets their top remaining targets, maybe they will push for that #1 class. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video, particularly about Ryan Montgomery's comments. I was able to speak with him earlier this week, and he talked about, which wide receivers, which offensive linemen he's trying to get, bring into Athens with him. He said, I'm all about recruiting whoever Coach Bobo, Coach Smart want me to. So he said the focus right now, get more offensive linemen, get some wide receivers. But here's what he said, and I'm going to break down, where Georgia sits with some of these top targets, what all needs to happen if they want to, sign another kind of A+ class, right? But here's what Ryan Montgomery said. He said, I'm super happy about the 4 guys we already have committed on offense. Talking about Ellis Williams, the 5-star tight end from Camden County, Ethan Barber, 4-star tight end from Alpharetta, Mason Short, 4-star offensive lineman from Evans High School, and then Bo Walker, a 3-star running back commitment from Cedar Grove. However, he just took a visit to Alabama pretty recently. I think he's still set to, play for Georgia, but he was committed under Del McGee. That's the guy he wanted to play for. Del McGee's obviously at Georgia State, so he's a current commitment on offense to keep an eye on, but for now he's committed, and Ryan Montgomery is happy to have him on. But he said, Coach Bobo let me know that our focus right now is on the offensive line and the receivers. On the offensive line, David Sanders and Juan Gaston are the 2 guys I'm after. Of course, David Sanders, maybe the best player in the country. Long, lean, athletic, nimble, strong offensive tackle out of, I believe it's Providence Christian Day in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think his highest ranking on one of the recruiting outlets websites has him as the #2 player in the country. I know one person in the Georgia program on the staff who thinks he is the #1 player in the country. This one has kind of trended away from Georgia recently. It felt like this was a Georgia-Clemson battle. Maybe Georgia had the lead. But after recent visits to Ohio State and Tennessee, he was at Tennessee twice in the last 2 to 4 weeks. But he's a guy that I think it's Clemson, Tennessee, Ohio State ahead of Georgia right now, but got to get him back on campus. He's a top priority. We'll see how things shake out. But Josh Petty is another guy, 6'4", 275, from Fellowship Christian High School in Roswell. He's the #21 overall prospect in the country, listed as an interior offensive lineman. According to the rankings, he's the #2 interior offensive lineman in the country. I'd put him at tackle. I've seen the guy play in person. I've shook his hand. That dude is all muscle. He's a wrestler. He moves well. I get why some people would like to have him at guard. I'm sure he would thrive there, but I think his lean, frame and his length and his ability to move and his quick feet, I would definitely give him a look at tackle. But he's very good, all muscle, not an ounce of fat on the kid, it looks like. So he is a different body type than Juan Gaston, who is massive, 6'8", 340, but a tremendous athlete for 340. You're not going to find a lot of guys his size who are that athletic. His dad was a crazy gifted, talented athlete who played basketball at Georgia Tech. Probably could have played in the NFL if football were the route he went instead. But this is an athletic family, a big athletic family. And Juan Gaston, Jr., out of Westlake High School, I think he is probably trending Georgia's way if I had to make a decision right now. I do not think Georgia is landing David Sanders this second, and I don't think they're going to land Josh Petty this second. I think both guys are looking at other programs. I think Josh Petty, who's coming off a recent visit from Notre Dame, is probably leaning out of state right now. Notre Dame's in the mix, Clemson, Tennessee, I think Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia's in the mix too, but this is not a slam dunk because the kid's from Georgia and Georgia builds a crazy good offensive line class every single year. So they're going to have to work for his commitment. But Juan Gaston's another guy to definitely keep an eye on. Cortez Smith, an interior lineman from Parkview, a guy I really like. He's not the biggest, but he's big enough, and he's talented and strong and fundamentally sound, and he's got good feet. So if you're in that Lilburn, Parkview High School area, he's a guy to keep an eye on if you're a Georgia fan too. So I need to go out and see him. Definitely maybe a center guard type that I think Georgia is in on. And then Nick Brooks is a name that he mentioned also. Nick Brooks has kind of a crazy story. He is up there with Amarius Mims as the biggest 15-year-old I've ever seen. I saw him, it feels like 2-3 years ago when he was at St. Francis in Alpharetta. Just a massive kid. I couldn't believe he was just 15 years old. He had to have been like 6'6", 330 at that point. It was just massive. And then transferred to Buford the next year, but then went back home to Iowa. So he started at Iowa, came down to St. Francis to play with Brandon Jacobs and his son Braden Jacobs, who's now at Buford, who's committed to Clemson. Anyway, Nick Brooks, yeah, he's massive. I think he ended up committing to Iowa, backing off, so he's open, but he's just a large human being that I didn't think Georgia was super high on, but he was a name that Ryan Montgomery said, and I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. We'll see how that plays out. At wide receiver, he said the two names I've been telling y'all about the whole time: Travis Smith Jr., C.J. Wiley, two in-state guys with size and ball skills. Travis Smith Jr., I think, is the #1 wide receiver in the state of Georgia. 6'4", 200, tremendous ball skills, can leap up and make a big-time catch over a defender. Just a big catch radius. He's a fluid runner, really good route runner for his size, can stretch the field, but can also help in the screen game. He's got good speed, but he is a vertical weapon, a guy that you can asked to test defenses and defensive backs down the field. He is tough to stay with. He runs really well for his size. And again, his size alone makes it tough for opposing defensive backs to cover. And when you have that type of size, great hands and great footwork, can get open on your own, that's tough to stop. He is ranked as the number 93 overall player in the country, number 11 wide receiver, number 12 prospect in Georgia. He's a big deal, and right now I think Georgia probably leads for Travis Smith Jr. right now. C.J. Wiley, I think Georgia's in on. That's the kid at Milton that just no one could cover last year. And I'm watching his highlights, and he's a four-star whose father, I believe, played at LSU, but 6'4", 195. And I was watching his huddle, his clips from last year, not too long ago, and he's just running by guys. I mean, just verticals for like the first few minutes, vertical, running by guys. Luke Nickel committed to Miami at the Milton quarterback, just throwing it up to him down the field, and he's just open every time, strides, kind of walks into the end zone. I'm thinking, where's the defense? He's talented. He's very good. He's got size and ball skills and mental toughness and big playability. But I'm sitting there watching his highlights thinking, okay, I get why this kid's a four-star and one of the best in Georgia, but where's the defense? This is supposed to be 7A ball, and he made it look way too easy. So he's a guy who can really stretch the field. Georgia's in on him. I think he likes Georgia too. He also said Javen Boggs from I think Cocoa, Florida, Cocoa High School, Cocoa Beach, Cocoa the town. I don't know, something about Cocoa in Florida. Former Ohio State commitment. Georgia offered. He backed off that commitment, I think, in the next day or two, if I remember correctly. He's a guy that James Coley, I believe, is high on. He's got that connection to South Florida, that Miami area. He's a very good recruiter, and so he can he's looking for his South Florida wide receivers to bring in. And I think Cocoa Beach, Cocoa, the city, the town, is down there. Marcus Harris is a four-star receiver, along with Phillip Bell, who's a four-star receiver. They're both from California that are interested in Georgia. I don't think Georgia leads right now for either one, but they're two guys to keep an eye on as well. Some other in-state guys, Thomas Blackshear and Edward Coleman. Thomas Blackshear is at Benedictine in Savannah, I believe. No, Calvary Day. They might both be at Calvary Day. I think Thomas Blackshear, who's 6'3", about 175, if you're taking notes at home. That could be, I think Tennessee leads Georgia right now. I don't think he's super high on Georgia's board. I think he's like a plan C type of option. But Edward Coleman is a guy I really like that I think is flying under the radar and definitely an SEC caliber guy. I think he's Calvary Day. So they're both from Savannah. They're both kind of high 3 stars right now, but they're receivers that I think Georgia has on their radar, but I don't think they're towards the top. Anyway, yeah, there's a few offensive linemen, a few receivers to keep an eye on. I'm going to write about all this and more over on Dawg Post. Actually, I've written this over on Dawg Post already. The story is free. You can read the story where I give more information about this topic that I did not share in this video. It's all over on the website. You can sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below. It's free to sign up, and it's free to read this story and others. So if you need the insider UGA recruiting scoop, team scoop, Dawg Post is the place to be. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoy the next one. But I want to see you over on the website, dawgpost.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.